May I come in, sir?
GIA.
Good evening, sir. Good evening,
Good
ma'am.
evening. Please
Good
take a
evening,
seat.
Thank you, sir.
You're Mr. Ramakanth.
Yes, sir.
Ramakanth, you're comfortable with English as your preferred medium?
Yes, sir. Comfortable with English.
Comfortable with English. So Ramakanth, to begin with, please introduce yourself.
Sir, I am Ramanakanth. I come from the newly formed district called YSR district of Andhra Pradesh. I did most of my schooling from my home district, post which I did Bachelor of Technology in Mechanical Engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. After that, I worked for a brief period in Daikin Industries, Osaka, Japan. Post that, I came back to India and started preparing for civil services, sir. And this is my first interview.
You were trained to be a mechanical engineer and you were getting opportunity to work in the refrigeration industry in Japan.
Yes, sir.
Then why you left all that core engineering thing and want to become a journalist, want to become a babu?
Yes, sir. Sir, firstly, I was satisfied with whatever I was doing in Japan, sir. Especially material-wise, I was very satisfied. The pay was very good. But I was looking for something more in which I can use my capabilities or potential to impact the society at larger level, sir. So this was one of the main reasons why I thought of switching my career from a mechanical engineering graduate or mechanical engineer to civil servant.
If you look at the civil services nowadays from around a decade or so, it appears that the engineers are kind of there is a kind of a stampede from engineering field to the civil services. What's wrong with the civil services structure itself that so many engineers believe that they'll be better here rather than where they should be? That there must be something seriously wrong with the entire process of selection and all that unemployable or even employable like you engineers believe that civil services is their cup of tea.
Yes, sir. I think there are a few reasons for this kind of situation, sir. Firstly, over the years, the number of engineering graduates have been on the increase, sir, overall in India, because of the increase in engineering colleges all over the India when compared with other professions like a medical background or commerce background or some other non-science subjects. So the number of engineers have been increasing. Secondly, because of this high number of engineers and very few opportunities which the engineers are getting, especially in the core sector like mechanical engineering or civil engineering or chemical engineering, many of them are looking for alternate career opportunities. So when they start looking for alternate career opportunities, civil services is one area which is common for everyone, where everyone can excel by taking their graduation subject as an optional. So I think that is why we are seeing more number of engineers when compared with other fields, sir.
Anyways, you're coming from Andhra Pradesh.
Yes, sir.
This is a state minus Hyderabad. Nobody understand what does it mean. Just define Andhra Pradesh without Hyderabad to us.
So post bifurcation, when the state of Andhra Pradesh was newly formed and the Hyderabad was given as a combined capital for 10 years, then we lost a major powerhouse, especially most of the state's revenue was coming from the capital city of Hyderabad, sir. So everyone thought that the newly formed state of Andhra Pradesh is at a loss, which is true to a certain extent. But removing the economic aspect, the rest of the state of Andhra Pradesh has its own culture, its own history, its own festivals, sir. So though the revenue part was a big loss for the state of Andhra Pradesh, in rest of the areas it still has its own presence.
And what is the strategy of Hyderabad as a state to cope up with this loss?
Sir, there are few steps which the government is taking, sir. Firstly, it is mostly focusing on the balanced regional development instead of having a single city focused development, because of which we suffered a lot when the state was divided. So right now the government is promoting 4 different regional zones, focusing mainly on the northern part of Andhra Pradesh, which includes Srikakulam and Vijayanagaram, and the Rayalaseema region, which are traditionally backward. Secondly, it is promoting local based industries in all these zones, sir. And third, it is also attracting various industries like Kia Motors is one of the automobile industry which started producing its cars in Andhra Pradesh, and also various pharmaceutical industries, especially in the city of Visakhapatnam, sir. So these are some of the steps which the government is taking for development.
Thank you.
Ramanakanth,
Yes, sir.
you have studied, I think, mechanical engineering.
Yes, sir.
You have mentioned about rural development. Can you explain what exactly is the trade?
Yes, sir. So mechanical engineering was my major subject in which I graduated, but I was also given a choice to select some of my optional courses, of which I was mostly very fond of taking courses on rural development and technology, sir.
That's
So,
good.
yes, sir.
And one of your hobbies is to interacting with people. And you worked for 8 months in Japan. So, and your option is anthropology. So, considering your interest and your hobby and your experience, first thing I want to know, what is your observation about the difficulties faced by senior citizens in Japan?
So three main difficulties which I can recollect from one of my interaction with a senior citizen, a woman of age 85 years in Japan, sir. Firstly, because of the highly globalized world and increasing use of technology, she was feeling completely disconnect with the younger generations. She was living alone. So most of the elderly people in Japan are living alone, not with their families, sir, because of the work life which their younger generation is doing. Secondly, though their social security system is good, but the real value of money which the elderly people in Japan are getting is not up to the standard which they were liking, sir. So even in the economic sense, they were not fully satisfied. And third point is the completely changing the complete change in the culture of younger generation of Japanese, sir. So traditionally, Japan is a very hierarchical and orthodox society, sir. But the younger generation is vouching for a change. So this is one of the other aspects which the elderly people of Japan are facing difficulty to cope up.
And many Japanese companies operating in India for last 3 decades, they have brought their same work culture and they are of course proud about it. But they will of course generate similar problems in Indian society.
Yes, sir. Wherever the companies are bringing the same work culture, definitely I feel there will be these problems which even the younger generation of Japanese are facing, sir. So if they are able to mold them to the local needs, then definitely I think there will be a lot of more scope for the Indian people to work with more excitement in Japanese companies.
So there are two things. There is one work culture, another is their social culture. What kind of conflicts do you see? And that's perhaps one of the dimensions in your rural development paper. How to reconcile these conflicts between the work culture and social culture?
Yes, sir. Sir, this also I would like to answer with in comparison between India and Japan, sir. In India, I feel there is less disconnect between both of them, work culture as well as social culture. But in Japan, there is a strict separation between both of these, sir. So there are both positives as well as negatives with Japanese type of strict separation, and the same goes with the Indian type of separation, sir. So I feel we should have a balance where in work culture we should maintain the professionalism along with a chance for liberty and more freedom of expression for the especially employees at lower level. But at the same time, we should not mix it with the complete social culture where the hierarchy is not seen. So I think a balance between both the traditional Indian approach and Japanese approach would be the best way forward.
What exactly is JIM? JIM? These are institutions set up with the help of Japanese companies in India.
Sorry, sir, I have heard of it, but I don't.
This is Japan India Institute for Manufacturing.
Thank you, sir.
So Japanese companies are setting up these institutions to provide skills, modern skills and modern work culture to Indian professionally skilled persons. So you have not heard about it?
No, sir, I haven't heard about it. I will read about it.
Okay. What kind of dispute has erupted recently between Japan and Russia?
Sir, one is regarding with the islands in the northern part of Japan, sir, which Russia also claims as its own territories.
Which islands?
Sir, I am not sure about the name. It is north to Hokkaido Islands of Japan, sir. I have to look into it. The name I am unable to recollect now, sir.
Okay. And who is the Prime Minister of Japan nowadays?
Sir, I am unable to recollect his name, sir. I saw his recently. Sorry, sir.
Recently, the Prime Minister have changed very frequently.
Yes, sir.
In Japan. Okay. And what's the status of Quad? Is it still functional?
Yes, sir. Quad is still functional. Definitely, the role or the importance which the Quad was having has on a roller coaster ride in the recent years, because with the emergence of AUKUS and with emergence of various other bilateral interactions between different countries at different level. So Quad has expanded its base, but its significance is also changing in the recent times.
Do you think India can remain robust in its partnership with both BRICS and Quad at the same time?
Yes, sir. I feel India can remain robust in this aspect, sir, because India has a different vision and different calculations when it comes to remaining with BRICS. It focuses on different areas, while it focuses on completely different areas when it comes to Quad. In Quad, it mostly deals with the Indo-Pacific region, maintaining openness of the region, while when it comes to BRICS, it talks about climate negotiations, trade relations between the country, and cooperation for economic development within the region.
Okay, thank you, Raman.
Thank you, sir.
Ramakant.
Yes, ma'am.
So you mentioned that your district has been recently formed.
Yes, ma'am.
What were the reasons for it, and from which district it has been separated?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, the erstwhile district was called YSR Kadapa district, while the new district is just called YSR district. And there was also one more district made from the erstwhile district, which is called Annamaya district, ma'am. The reorganization or formation of new districts was recently taken by the state government of Andhra Pradesh with the view of making the governance and administration more easy and taking it more closer to the people, ma'am.
Very right. Is there some relation between Katappa of Andhra and Katappa of Bahubali?
Ma'am, as far as I know, there is no relation, ma'am. It is just a name, and the Kadapa of Andhra Pradesh has its own etymological significance, ma'am. Its origin is something different.
What is the etymological significance?
Ma'am, there is a word called Gadapa in Telugu, which is the threshold or gateway to any bigger house or bigger historical place. So people used to visit Kadapa because there is a temple of Lord Balaji before going to Tirupati, which is a famous temple town in the Chittor district, ma'am. So people used to visit Kadapa. That's why the name Gadapa was formed. From Gadapa, over time, it became to Kadapa, ma'am.
Okay. As a student of anthropology, tell me, why is brain size of humans decreasing?
Any size of any organ it also depends upon the use and disuse which humans do. This is one of the theory proposed by various anthropologists in the past. So over the time, human is not fully utilizing when he is not utilizing his brain capacity. So there is also a chance of reducing in size of some of the parts of the brain. So I feel this could be one of the reason why the brain capacity size of the brain might be decreasing.
So humans are not using their brain to accurate potential.
Ma'am, I mean not each and every area of the brain is not equally used. Some parts of it might be used more than the other parts.
You are guessing it or you know it?
Ma'am, with the theory which I know, this is what I could think of for the possible reason for this specific question.
Okay. So you have worked in AC development.
Yes, ma'am.
What is Kigali Amendment?
Kigali Amendment was brought in to the Montreal Protocol, which majorly focused on all the gases which were harming ozone layer. So when the Montreal Protocol was signed, it focused on reducing all the gases which were destroying the ozone layer. But over time it was seen that HCFCs were affecting the global warming on a larger scale. So Kigali Amendment was made to even phase out all those gases which are affecting the global warming along with the ozone layer. And so the amendment said we will be phasing down all these gases over a period of time based upon the country's ability to cope with it. And after 2045, every country will be banning all the refrigerants which destroy the ozone layer as well as global warming.
Is there some geopolitical agenda behind all these manipulations and Kigali Amendment?
Ma'am, sorry ma'am, I am not sure of it.
No, I am just asking you to guess. Can you make out some pattern out of it?
Ma'am, definitely in all these climate agreements, there is a strong lobbying from the so-called developed nations. They are making all these rules and regulations and asking each and every country to follow, which includes even the developing nations like India. While the developed nations have enjoyed each and every in each and every way they could when there was no rules or no amendments, no protocols. But the developing nations are facing the heat of it, because with time they are forcing the developing nations to not to use whatever refrigerants which they were using earlier.
Right. So why is that so much communal things we are hearing right now? Communal incidents here and there. Why there is a rise in these?
Ma'am, I feel communal clashes have been happening here and there in India since a long time. The rise in hearing of all these incidents is mainly one reason is because of the widespread nature of media, which includes even social media in the present day, because right now each and everyone has access to social media. So even a small incident happening in a nook and corner of the country is getting more popularity, more widespread news for the rest of the population. So I think this is one of the main reasons why we are seeing more number of communal incidents, and I don't think there is any specific thing that happened which increased the number of incidents per se in quantity wise.
Okay. So tell me 3 major differences between boys and girls apart from physical traits.
Ma'am, apart from the physical traits, I don't think there is any stark difference between male and female. The physical traits and biological system has created some of the differences, be it menstruation or be it physical appearance. But apart from that, I don't think there is any difference between a male and female.
Okay, my last question to you. Who do you consider as a empowered woman from your state?
Ma'am, I would consider PV Sindhu as one of the empowered women from my state. Though presently she resides in Telangana, but she is native of Andhra Pradesh, so I consider her as an empowered woman.
Thank you, Ramakanth.
So, Ramanakanth,
Yes, sir.
you've stayed in Japan.
Yes, sir.
For how many years?
Sir, I stayed for 2 months while I was working as an intern there in my 3rd year. Then again 8 months while I was working there as an employee.
So, in nutshell, 1 year almost.
Almost 1 year.
So, you also have written that you have a hobby of interacting with people. So, you must have learned some Japanese?
Yes, sir. I am fluent in Japanese.
Oh, great. Then you'll help us. Tell us something about the policy of Hikaku Sen Gensuko.
Sir, I have heard of it, but I am unable to recollect it right now, sir. I have to read about it. It has been a long back. I have heard of it.
You're not able to recall it. Can you make out the English translation of this?
Sorry, sir. For that, I have to see the kanji of how the Hikaku is written.
Okay.
Because the script itself used to help me a lot of making out the English version of it.
All right. Do you know about the Iwakura mission?
No, sir. Sorry, sir.
It's been a very famous mission in Japan.
Okay.
You have no idea about it?
No, sir. Sorry, sir.
Let's
I have to
move
read
then.
about it.
Tell us the factors behind the Japanese industrialization.
Yes, sir. Japanese started their industrialization post the Meiji Revolution, sir. When they faced the defeat at the commander from the US force, Commodore Perry. So Meiji Revolution happened and they focused majorly on industrialization as their main source because they were having very few resources.
So what were the factors behind their industrialization?
Sir, first factor was they had a huge demography which supported industrialization. There were large youth population at that time. Second, the hierarchical structure of their society also helped them because they had a proper hierarchical structure even in the present day corporate culture, sir. Third is the military type of dictatorship that was existing in Japan. So these three have helped them to have a proper focus on industrialization, and they used reverse engineering for their growth of industries, sir.
Okay, what was the role of education in the process of industrialization there in Japan?
Education played a key role, sir, because they translated each and every knowledge that they were getting from the foreign countries into their native language and ensured that each and every Japanese get this working knowledge. And as I mentioned, using the reverse engineering.
That was precisely the Iwakura mission. That's exactly I asked you. Okay, fine. Move then. Tell me something about that. Why the Japanese are so disciplined society? I mean, what actually happened there, in fact?
Sir, it has a lot to do with their history and culture, sir. Even the upbringing of a child in Japan, as mentioned by Ruth Benedict, an anthropologist, in her book Chrysanthemum on Sword.
Right.
So a kid in Japan is brought up under very disciplined manner till he reaches the age of 20 or till he enters the adult stage. So he has to do his own work, he has to be very disciplined, he has to maintain his surroundings clean and neat, he has to do day in day out whatever his or her guardian says so. So all these things which a kid goes through in his or her childhood makes him a more disciplined and obedient person to his seniors, sir. So this we can see even in each and every aspect in Japan.
Have you seen the course curriculum of Japanese at school?
Sir, I have gone through some of it in various YouTube videos and some interactions which I had with a kid in Japan, sir.
All right. So, okay, I'll talk it later on. Tell me one more thing, that the lifespan of the Japanese is also one of the highest in the world, in fact. What are the factors behind that?
Sir, firstly is the food they intake.
Yeah. What kind of food they do intake? Whether it is a blue diet or Mediterranean diet or Sardinian diet?
Sir, they mainly intake all the seafood with very less spices.
So what is it called? Sardinian or Mediterranean diet?
Sir, I am not sure of it, sir.
All right, go ahead.
So one thing is the diet which they intake. Second is the amount of physical activity which each and every Japanese do. Because of that demography, almost every Japanese works either in house or outside the house, sir. Third is the level of pollution or other ill effects which might downgrade a lifespan of a person. Fourth is the availability of proper medical health care and social security systems.
Great, great. Have you ever visited to these prefectures, Nagasaki?
No, sir, I haven't been to Nagasaki. I have been to Okinawa and Osaka.
Or Hiroshima?
No, sir.
My last question to you, that can an NGO be found by the government of India?
Sir, in my limited knowledge, NGO can't be founded by the government of India, sir, because it's the name itself says it's a non-governmental organization. So government cannot actively form an NGO.
Okay, then what is CAPAT?
Sorry, sir, I am unaware of it, sir. I have to read about it.
It is Council for Advancement for People's Actions and Rural Technology.
Okay.
And CAPAT is an NGO. It works under the Ministry of Agriculture. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you for the information.
Hello, Ramakanth.
Hi, sir.
So your hobby is playing cricket.
Yes, sir.
So what do? You are a bowler or a batsman or all-rounder?
Sir, I am an all-rounder, comes in lower middle order.
Lower middle order. Mostly then bowler, your focus might be
Yes,
bowling,
sir.
right?
Bowling all-rounder, sir.
And who is your favorite cricketer?
Sir, Kane Williamson.
Kane Williamson. Kane Williamson is batsman, right?
Yes, sir. But I like his cricketing skills.
Okay. So, don't you think that batsmen are given more preference and importance in cricket than bowlers? I mean, you being bowler, but still your favorite is Kane Williamson. So why is it so?
Sir, I feel cricket itself is a more batsman-oriented game. So traditionally also the whatever rules the ICC was making, or even the viewership or each and every audience who see cricket focuses more on the batting aspect. So, and I feel traditionally given all this, it is the rules are also batsman focused. So bowler is always there in the game to just make the game go on.
Okay. Same goes with test also, test cricket. I mean, in test cricket, role of bowler is very important. And the game is designed in such a way that it's more of even out. I mean, it's not very batsman friendly. Pitches are made in such a way. So traditionally, cricket is about test cricket. So what do you think? Why is it a recent phenomena favoring batsmen, or cricket has been batsman friendly from starting only?
Sir, no, sir. Test cricket was definitely a neutral game. I would not say that it favors a batsman or a bowler. It was made on a neutral ground. Both had their advantages in the test cricket. But over time, when the viewership or for a smaller format of the game increased, so more and more the rules also have supported it. And even right now, even in the test cricket, the players are getting more active, or they are more what you would say, they are more
preferring.
They are preferring the faster pace of the game, if I can use.
Can you tell me difference between seam bowling and swing bowling?
Yes, sir. Sir, seam bowling depends upon uses the seam of the ball. So a seam bowler might bowl it straight seam or cross seam, and he uses the seam to do the job for him after hitting the pitch, while a swing bowler uses the smoothness or roughness of a ball on one side relatively with other side, and uses the traditional swing or reverse swing, and he uses air movement which provides lateral movement of the ball to do the job.
Fine. Tell me something about China's BRI initiative.
China brought this Belt and Road Initiative to expand and provide infrastructural facilities for movement of goods, for movement of people originating from China to various parts of the world. So it had various branches, one of which is CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. So it majorly focused on providing loans to the countries and developing infrastructure projects in all these countries for promotion of the trade.
Okay. And any similar initiative from the Western groupings to counter BRI?
Sir, there is a Blue Dot network started by United States, Japan as well as Australia, which will rate infrastructure projects undertaking in various countries based upon its creditworthiness, whether the funding is a predatory funding or not.
There is one major difference between Blue Dot network and BRI. What is it?
Sir, BRI is a state-sponsored project, sir.
Okay. Now coming to science, basics of science. Recently, you might have heard about Silver Line project. Protests are going against it in Kerala.
Yes, sir.
Experts have suggested that we can use technology of tilting trains. Can you tell me what is this technology and why they are suggesting that tilting train will be a better option?
Sir, I know about tilting trains, sir, but I am not very sure of the Silver Line project protests.
Okay, tell me about tilting trains technology then.
So tilting train technology is used in the magnetic leviation trains, where a train goes based upon the magnetic field that is generated. So the train will always be in air, it will not have a direct contact with the track. So in this particular magnetic leviation trains, tilting technology is used when the trains are moving at very high speed.
It is closer to banking off-roads, to give you a hint. So it basically works on centripetal forces. And recently Zen Garden Kaizen Academy was inaugurated in Ahmedabad. What is this Zen and Kaizen? It's a Japanese term, Zen.
Yes, sir. I have heard both of them, but at this point of time I am unable to recollect what Kaizen was.
No issues. Thank you.
Okay, Ramanakanth.
Sure.
You have studied anthropology. I'm just curious. Tell me, what exactly is the anthropological basis of poverty?
Sir, anthropology studies man holistically, sir. So when it studies the issue of poverty, it not just deals with the immediate history of that particular person or particular community, but rather it looks at the environmental aspect, economic aspect, demographic aspect, whether the particular community or person is migrated from some other place or not. So it will study, for example, if a community is living in the tropical climate and the another community is living in temperate climate, the anthropological approach will also focus upon the productivity of the person, sir.
Okay, let me put it more in a simpler way. Do you believe that poverty always existed, or the poverty came after the rich people came?
So definitely when the population of humans was not at the present level, when man was evolving, Homo sapiens just entered the picture. So I don't think there was poverty, sir, because there was no scarcity of resources which a person might like.
Then why were men migrating at all if there was no scarcity at all?
Sir, man was migrating, but definitely he used to migrate in search of resources. So whenever he was able to find resources at a point, he used to stay there, and whenever the resources get over, he again used to migrate. So I don't think there was poverty as such where he can't find resources. He used to move in search of resources, and he was able to always avoid poverty in that sense.
You just mentioned that government cannot have NGOs. What's your take on PM Care? Is it a government thing or it's a NGO with the government thing?
Sir, PM Cares is a fund. It is not an NGO as such. It is a fund to which people can donate money, and that money of the fund will be used for the betterment of providing health facilities.
But is it a government fund? It is not.
It has no legal backing, sir, PM Cares fund, and it was formed by the executive decision.
The executive definition things do not have legal backing? That's a strange announcement.
Sir,
There are several executive orders as executive bodies and they are all legal entities.
Yes, sir. Sir, in this particular case, I have to read more about it. I'm
No
not very
problem.
sure of PMJ.
Fine, Ramanakanth. Nice talking to you. Your interview is over. You can go now.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Aye. Please sit down.
Thank you, sir.
So, Ramanakanth, your interview is on 25th of May,
Yes, sir.
almost at the end of the interviews, right? So, is it going to be your first interview at the UPSC?
Yes, sir. First interview at the.
You're happy with your performance today, or there are areas you want to improve on?
Sir, there are definitely areas where I have to improve, sir.
Right. So, what's your take? What are the areas you would like to work?
So, firstly, areas related to Japan, because I don't know if a panel member in my final panel would be having, if they have in-depth knowledge of Japan, then I also should match whatever.
Not necessarily match, but it shouldn't appear that at least wherever there's Indo-Japan collaboration or influence things, there it is expected that you should be knowing. And knowing is always better than not knowing. So it's not that it's a sin or a crime not knowing. But if you have time, and which you have, I'll advise you to revise that, right? See, Ramanakanth, you are a very, very good candidate when it comes to the UPSC in general expectations. I mean, you carry wonderful personality, integrity is visible, there is a unity of purpose in your personality which is clearly visible. Also, you appear to be an honest and hardworking person, at least as far as your DAF and your personality test is concerned. Board will be able to see it right in the beginning. So I'm sure they'll be happy interacting with you. Coming to specifics, in general, your entry is good. Sitting posture is fine. Voice level is okay. I mean, both in terms of speed as well as volume, it's good. So voice clarity is definitely there. There isn't much hand movement, which is a good thing. Eye contact is also fine. Flow is also. So the checklist part of the verbal non-verbal communication is in place. So I won't advise any change over there. Whatever changes are there, it has to do with two things. One is that your assessment of what is going on right now, I mean what is going on during the interview, is something that affects your subsequent answers.
Okay.
Simplest thing is that keep it as simple as possible. And simple is that if you know the answer, deliver the answer. If you don't know the answer, simply say sorry and just move on, right? It is only in a rare case where you believe that you partially know the answer, then maybe a little guesswork is allowed, provided you have taken permission for that. Right now it appears that you have not tendency, but you have this, sometime you get into the guesswork without actually knowing the area. Not really advisable, because it's not just a question of information actually, it becomes a question of integrity. If you don't know a particular thing and you are committing a particular answer, it appears that you have this integrity issue, that you claim to be knowing certain things which you do not. So that is avoidable thing. Other things in general, you're handling well. In Indo-Japan, as we mentioned, that since India-Japan cooperation is on in many areas, there are around 30-40 at least years there where this cooperation is going on. So there are several important projects, including bullet train and all. So there'll be definitely can be questions. So be ready for that. But it's not that it has become your responsibility. You have been there only for 10 months. It's not your responsibility. But if you are able to answer these, it will become a big plus, right? So you can work on that. Other things in general, you are actually handling well. There were only that area where, for example, when Sir was discussing with the Kapart thing, and there it appears that you are claiming that you you can handle it a little better. You have done from IIT, right?
Yes, sir.
There can be issues, questions on IIT Delhi also. So probably that we couldn't ask. There were a couple of things I have listed which we couldn't ask. So prepare for that also. I mean, especially the Delhi thing. maybe a little bit of the center-state relations which you can work on, that will be good. And we were not able to give you much situational thing. Be prepared for that also. Other things you have already done well. So that's it. If there is anything you want to ask, welcome.
Sir, one question, because you have guided so many aspirants. So this is my first interview, and I will be also having one more interview, sir, in June 12th to 15th, forest service interview.
Right.
So is there anything which you would like to tell me? Because I am thinking whether should I go only for civil services interview fully, or should I balance both?
See, yes, right now you should be going only for the civil services thing, right? When is your forest one?
Forest service interview dates are not yet given, sir.
But it will be after 26th,
June, right? June 12th to June.
So right
18th.
Now you should focus for the civil services. I'm sure you'll make it in this only. Once you're through with it, you'll have that experience also of facing the board. Then you yourself will know that there are certain areas. Though obviously in the forest service, you'll be focusing more on environment ecology and things like that. That aspect here you can go slow, but there you'll need to have in-depth knowledge. So right now, please focus on this thing, and after that, give your full time to forest. I'm sure you'll make most likely in both, but at least in either of these. Right? All the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.